Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video I am going to be giving you my match reaction for the Burnley Arsenal game that's just ended. Burnley 0, Arsenal 0 at Turf Moor. Well, from a Burnley perspective, they'll be really disappointed that they didn't get all 3 points, because as you all know, Jay Rodriguez had a big chance right at the end, but he did currently hit the crossbar, but the ball didn't currently cross the line, so Burnley will be very disappointed. From an Arsenal perspective though, they'll also be very disappointed. It's I think their fourth draw now in a row in the current Premier League. But the positive is that Arsenal do remain unbeaten against Burnley in their last 11 Premier League games. But I think prior to this one, Arsenal had won their last 10 Premier League games against Burnley. So the draw obviously keeps Arsenal in 10th. They have registered 31 points and they are 10 points behind top 4. And Arsenal have only won 6 Premier League games this season out of 25, and that's nowhere near good enough to their current standards in that. Obviously, Arsenal obviously got Mustafi back into the team. He's just come back from injury, because he came off injured, I think, in Arsenal's 2-1 win against Bournemouth in the FA Cup. Also, David Luiz recently just come back from suspension. Also, Aubameyang's just come back from a match suspension and that. But, I think Arsenal have lost the identity in their attacking line and that, because I don't think they were so good attackively today and that. Obviously, Arsenal had some chances in the game. There was actually, a lot of chances in the game, so I was surprised it ended 0-0, because obviously, Burnley had chances, through like Hendrick. He had a couple of decent chances. Like I mentioned, Jay Rodriguez had one at the end. I don't think Chris Wood had a bad game for Burnley. Ashley Westwood was quite good. And I thought defensively, Burnley were very well organised. But Arsenal knew this was going to be a difficult game, because Burnley recently have been in a good run of form. Obviously prior to this game, they had won their last 2 games, beating Leicester 2-1. Beating us at Old Trafford by 2-0. With Arsenal, though, they should have scored. Aubameyang had a couple of decent chances in the game. He had a fantastic chance towards the end. I think Lacazette had a couple of decent chances in the game. So, but there was actually only like 4 shots on target in total. So Arsenal had 2 shots on target. Burnley had 2 shots on target. But it definitely shouldn't have been 0-0. You can maybe blame Mikel Arteta today, because maybe Arsenal didn't get it fully right. There's people coming out saying that Willock should have started. Obviously, Willock did come on in the game. People, saying that Aubameyang should have been playing centrally. Actually, Aubameyang was playing out wide. Lacazette was up front on his own. Some people are saying, Mesut Ozil shouldn't have started. Ozil, I think he's had a few decent games under Mikel Arteta, but, Mesut Ozil, I think Arsenal should have got rid of him a while back. They should have arguably, got rid of him, at the time, there was getting rid of Alexis Sanchez. They should have kept Sanchez and, got rid of Mesut Ozil instead. I don't think Granit Xhaka was bad for them today. I think he got a booking in the game and that. But, it did end a goalless draw. And, I think today was Mikel Arteta's 8th game as Arsenal manager. And he has drawn a lot of games. I think that was his 5th draw today. He's won 2 and he's lost 1. So far he has managed 8 games as Mikel Arteta. But like I mentioned, Arsenal should not be in the position that they're in, because I think, they have got a really good team of Arsenal. They have got a decent team, and I think Aubameyang and Lacazette are good when they're on form. Leno, I think he's a pretty decent goalkeeper. He made some very good saves today for Arsenal. I think Mustafi can play well when he wants to. David Luiz, I think he's had a few good games under Mikel Arteta. So they have got a pretty decent team and that. And obviously, Arsenal are going to be determined to give Mikel Arteta more time and that. I know he hasn't really got that managerial experience. Obviously, he worked alongside Pep Guardiola as a coaching assistant at Manchester City for 3 years. So I think he's now trying to take Guardiola's philosophy to Arsenal, basically. But I still think Arsenal do look a much better team under Mikel Arteta, than they did do under Unai Emery. But since he's come in, to be fair, Arsenal haven't seemed to have done bad away from home, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But it's still a transition period for Arsenal. Arsenal, are on their third manager this season because obviously before they had Mikel Arteta, they had Freddie Ljungberg in on a temporary basis. Also before that, they had Unai Emery, and he endured 18 months with Arsenal. Obviously, Arsene Wenger, there's still a lot of the blame stemming from him because he obviously, did leave a lot of deadwood behind. Arsene Wenger should have left at an earlier point than he did in that. But, I think there is, problems at Arsenal. I think, probably Arteta, he's doing an okay job with them. Obviously, they may have some problems with their backroom staff. Maybe they've still got problems on the pitch because there is a lot of aspects of their game that do need to currently improve in that. But, like I said, Arsenal have got a lot of pretty decent young players in their team that are coming through and that. And, I like that Edward Nketiah, who obviously came on in the game today. He's just come back on loan from Leeds United. Willock come on in the game like I mentioned. Lucas Torreira come on. I do rate Lucas Torreira a lot. I think he's a pretty decent player. So, yeah, they should be performing much better than this. And, from an Arsenal perspective, they'll be hopeful, that this team at this day and age can replicate the team that they had, back in 2003 and 2004 and that. Of course, Arsenal went undefeated in 2004 all season. They didn't lose one single game. But, this team is totally comparison to the team, that they had, back in 2004 and that. And probably, more signings are needed at Arsenal. And obviously, Pablo Mari did not make his debut today for Arsenal. I thought he could have made his debut, but he wasn't involved in the game at all. Arsenal did get a good centre-half in there. At least they did get a centre-half in because they was in search for one. Pablo Mari, of course, they've got him on loan until the end of the season. Pablo Mari on loan till the end of the season. Arsenal, I think, have paid around £3 or £4 million for the loan. The deal's worth up to £12 million. If Arsenal do decide to make the deal permanent, they'll have to pay around £12 million. Well, sorry, a further £8 million because they've already paid £3 or £4 million up front. They did get him from Flamengo. They did get Cedric Soares from Southampton on loan. I'm not too sure if there's an option to buy. He couldn't make his debut today anywhere because he's currently out injured. So Arsenal, did get two decent players in. And Cedric Soares is well Premier League proven. He made over 100 appearances for Southampton, and I think he joined Southampton in 2015. Did the player? So he is well Premier League proven. Obviously, Arsenal needed a right back anywhere because Ainsley Maitland-Niles is not predominantly a right back. Obviously, Hector Bellerin's now back in the team, but he has sustained quite a few injuries this season. But Hector Bellerin is predominantly a right back. Arsenal got some players in last summer. They obviously got Kieran Tierney in from Celtic for £25 million. He's out injured, I think, until, is it March, if I'm right. Reece Nelson, another good young player for Arsenal. I do like Reece Nelson a lot. Very, very good young player. They've still got, obviously, Callum Chambers is out. I think he's supposed to be out for a long time. Is Callum Chambers. Like I said, Mustafi's just come back from injury now. So Arsenal have had quite a lot of injuries this season. Obviously, as well, they did get David Luiz last summer. They also got Nicolas Pepe in last summer, and you're getting a lot of Arsenal fans that are criticising Nicolas Pepe. Probably wasn't so good today. Probably wasn't getting enough service. To be fair, I think he's had some decent games under Mikel Arteta as Nicolas Pepe, but I do believe for the money Arsenal paid for him, he's not performing as he should be. So I don't really think he's replicating, what he did when he was at Lille, because, he was really, really good at Lille, was Nicolas Pepe. And I actually think Nicolas Pepe is Arsenal's most expensive signing, if I'm currently right. But, so they have had quite a few injuries of Arsenal, but probably Burnley will be the more disappointed, relating back to what I said, because they didn't take that chance, they had right at the end of the game. I think they've also got William Saliba, who was due to come in the summer, because Arsenal did get him, but I think he's being loaned back to St Etienne for the remainder of the season and that. But, this is not good enough. Arsenal now, top four ambitions have gone. I think their priority now will be to, get some silver on the board, and that's probably to win the FA Cup, because they are into the 5th round of the FA Cup. Obviously, they did get past Bournemouth. I think they've got Portsmouth away in the FA Cup 5th round. But, Arsenal are the most successful team in FA Cup history because, they have won the most FA Cups. Obviously, they are still in the Europa League. That may be a priority for them as well because obviously they want to get automatic qualification for the Champions League. The Europa League's the only way Arsenal are going to get the Champions League because they're not going to get that top four this season and that. But, maybe maybe people will come out and say a lot of the blame stems from Arteta from today's game and that, maybe in some games he's got it right, some games he's got it wrong, maybe he's playing certain players out of position, maybe he's being tactically naive, people will have different perceptions on that. But, Arsenal are still a big club and that because, they have actually, got a fantastic history. But at the moment, they're not replicating, their history and that, they're not playing it as they should be, Arsenal. Because, reflecting on it last season, they was actually, quite good at home last season. I don't think they lost many games at the Emirates last season in the Premier League. But I think Arsenal now are on their lowest tally up until this point since 1975, 1976. So they are enjoying a difficult time in the Premier League so far. So, yeah. Arsenal will be very, very disappointing. But, maybe there was some good performers, Aubameyang wasn't so bad, he had some decent chances. Obviously, didn't have that clinical element. Nicolas Pepe wasn't so good in the game. I said Lacazette had a decent chance or two in the game. I thought Burnley, though, they played well. I thought Rodriguez had a good game, but he should have scored at the end. He was disappointing. Chris Wood wasn't so bad. I probably think Chris Wood's one of their best players. Obviously, they got him from Leeds United. Obviously, Ashley Westwood wasn't so bad in that midfield for them. James Tarkowski is a decent player for Burnley. Henrik, like I said, he was quite dominant today because he had quite a few chances. But it shouldn't have been 0-0, so in a way, it wasn't a fair result in that. But, Burnley are level on points with Arsenal. They're also on 31 points after 25 games. And, that's good to Burnley's standards, and, you've got to praise Sean Dyche because he has done a pretty decent job with them. So, that's your match reaction for the Burnley Arsenal game. Obviously, Tottenham Man City are now in action. You saw my match reaction, to the Man United Wolves game yesterday at Old Trafford. I was very, very disappointed. As you all know, guys, I am a Manchester United fan. And it isn't good enough. We needed to beat Wolves because now we are winless in our last 3 games in the Premier League. And we haven't even scored one single goal in our last 3 games. And yet again, we failed to close the gap on the top 4 because Chelsea drew with Leicester 2-2 yesterday. And Chelsea have been so inconsistent this season. That's the main explanation why we're in that top 4 race still. But Man United have got to get that top 4 this season and that. Obviously, in the game against Wolves yesterday, Solskjaer reverted back to the 4-2-3-1. Obviously, in a couple of games prior to the Wolves game, he obviously went with 3 at the back. But from my own perception, I think 3 at the back seems to suit our standards because we do look more expansive, when we do go with 3 at the back. But everyone will have a different perception. Some people will say we should, stick with the 4-2-3-1 formation. But Solskjaer's been going with that formation on a regular basis this season. But it was very, very disappointing against Wolves, and, Solskjaer gave his overarching view on the game. He basically said, Wolves are a very difficult team to break down. Wolves are very competitive. Their record against the top 6 sides is also very impressive, Wolves is. And, Solskjaer was looking to beat Wolves for the second time as manager yesterday because he's only beaten them once as a manager, and that was in the FA Cup 3rd round replay. Solskjaer believes that Man United dominated the game. We dominated the possession. Prime example in the second half, we had the ball a lot on the edge of their box, but not good enough. But he thinks we dominated the game, and he believes that the goal posts were moved. Because Solskjaer did pinpoint out, there was quite a few chances we had in that current game and that. But I've got to say, I thought Bruno Fernandes did quite well on his debut. Probably one of our best players. He must have had 5 shots in the game. 3 of them were on target. I think he had the most touches in the first half, did Bruno Fernandes. He's obviously predominantly an attacking midfielder. The interchange was questionable in the first half because Bruno Fernandes did get, put as a defensive midfielder. and then you put Andres Pereira as an attacking midfielder. So I don't really understand that, because Bruno Fernandes is not a holding midfielder. But to be fair, wasn't so bad on his debut. You know, Pereira had a lot of wasteful chances in the game. I think he also committed quite a few fouls. He gave a lot of silly free kicks away, did Pereira. Pereira is definitely one of the problematic players at Manchester United, and he does need to be moved on, because he was very, very poor, was Andres Pereira. You know, but I think in terms of the chances and the possession in the first half, Wolves dominated us, because, you know, Wolves were decent with Raul Jimenez. He played well for Wolves. You know, the structure in Wolves' front line is good. Raul Jimenez had some chances. De Gea had to make some saves. Adam Traore, you know, had some decent chances for Wolves. I think he had one that just went wide in the first half. I think Jota had one chance. So, yeah, so Wolves actually, you know, did quite well. But I thought, you know, the game lacked quality. So I thought a lot of aspects of the game did replicate the game in the FA Cup third round at Molineux. But, you know, probably, you know, Wolves would have been happy, you know, between both sides. But between the sides, they'd have been the most happier. But we're now level on points with Wolves in the Premier League. But there's obviously reasons why we're level on points with Wolves in the Premier League, because simply Manchester United are not good enough. You know, there doesn't seem to be any transition in the final third, because yesterday I thought Martial again was poor. You know, you've got Ian Wright coming out saying that he should be dropped and we should, you know, play Mason Greenwood ahead of Anthony Martial, because like I recently said, Mason Greenwood is not getting enough you know, starts in the Premier League. In the cup competitions, he's getting starts, but in the Premier League, he's not getting enough starts and that. So we need to now drop Anthony Martial. I know I said before that we should keep him, but he's been bad in his last 6 or 7 league games. And if this does continue, then maybe Manchester United should consider getting rid of Anthony Martial. Definitely, you know, we should definitely, you know, consider getting rid of him. But he wasn't good. You know, Daniel James hasn't been so good in the last month or so. You know, Mata, I don't think he was brilliant in that. So there was a lot of bad individual performances in the game. You know, Diego Dalot could have won the game at the end. You know, he missed an absolute sitter. But it isn't good enough, you know, because that's a game we needed to win. Because if we'd have won that game, we'd have only now been 4 points behind top 4. And there's quite a few teams now in that top 4 race. You know, also Jamie Redknapp, who obviously, you know, on Sky Sports yesterday, he came out and criticised Solskjaer. He also came out and criticised Anthony Martial. And I think he knows from his own perception. A lot of people know from their own perceptions, including Manchester United fans, that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not the right man to elevate Manchester United forward. And he isn't the right man, you know, to elevate Manchester United forward and that. I don't see the club sacking him at the moment, but I think, you know, we will sack him eventually. I can't see Solskjaer seeing out his 2.5 year deal at the football club, because that's what's remaining on Solskjaer's current contract with Manchester United. But my element of concerns about Solskjaer is, you know, he's tactically naive. And he has been tactically naive for the vast majority of this season. Also doesn't have a plan B, doesn't have a plan A, you know, doesn't really know how to change the game, doesn't have a style of play and that. So these are my element of concerns about him. We've registered 35 points from 25 games, and we know that's nowhere near good enough to our standards. Because I did mention, didn't I, at the start of this season, that I expected us to enjoy a better season this season than what we saw last season. Last season we finished 6th, so last season was bad enough. I didn't expect us to win the league this season, but I expected us, you know, to have a better season than we did last season. You know, we're not going to win the league for several years and that. But for me, we're not going to win the league for several years. And, you know, this is the worst we've ever been in the Premier League era up until this point. We have enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. So it's since, 1989 or 1990. Solskjaer's been under intense pressure for the vast majority of this season. And since he's been named permanent manager, he has lost more games in the league than he's won. He's managed 33 Premier League games since he was appointed permanent boss and only won 11. But not all of the blame stems from Solskjaer anyway, because like I've mentioned in my other videos, we need to see a variety of changes at the club. There's fundamental issues at the club, as Ferdinand was saying the other week. You know, Ed Woodward needs to go, Glazers need to go, the board need to go. The board need to go. We need a change of management. You know, these still players at Manchester United that need to go. So there's still a lot of deadwood at the football club, definitely. So I think, you know, Man United are in turmoil. The club's in turmoil in general. And there's quite a few clubs that are in the similar sort of situation to us now. You've got Arsenal that are in the same sort of situation. You've got West Ham, you know, they've got a lot of cultural problems at their club. You know, so there's quite a few teams that are in the same situation. You know, you've got Chelsea that have got problems at their club. So they are just prime examples, basically. But like I said, you know, Bruno Fernandes is a good signing. To be fair, you know, Solskjaer praised him. He thought he put a decent performance out yesterday, did Bruno Fernandes. But he's the good player, and I think he's on a different level to this Manchester United team. His pace is totally different. But Bruno Fernandes, to be good at Man United, he needs to be playing amongst good players, and he isn't playing amongst good players at the moment because these good players in our team, obviously reflecting on the money that's been spent over the last 6 or 7 years. And we've got better players than a lot of teams have in the Premier League, but we don't play better football than them, and that is the current problem. But you know, Bruno Fernandes is our fourth most expensive signing, and I do believe he will be a good player for Man United. But Bruno Fernandes isn't enough. We need more than Bruno Fernandes. We need more signings than Bruno Fernandes, and we've got to think about making more signings in the summer. Obviously, Odion Igalo's on his way to Man United. You know, he's a striker. Obviously, we've got him on loan until the end of the season. We're paying a third of his wages. We're paying him $100,000 a week. We have no option to make the deal permanent in the summer, of course. But he's a good cover up to Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial. Cover up to Rashford, sorry, and he's a good alternative to Anthony Martial and that. But I think he'll do well. You know, Solskjaer said he's an experienced player. Odion Igalo's also played in the Premier League, don't forget. So, yeah, at least we did get him in. But more signings are needed in the summer without a shadow of a doubt. And, you know, we need to see more players go. But reverting back to what I said about Arsenal, they're in a similar situation to Manchester United, definitely. Yeah. So that's everything to update you today, guys. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.